Okay, I'm going to cover what's called multiple regression here as opposed to simple regression. So we allow more than one independent variable here. This is a text, and this is chapter 28. So some of the ideas and notation and so forth maybe you might not be used to it, but we'll try to get through it. So we will now call regression with just one explanatory variable, simple linear regression, to remind us that this is a special case. This chapter introduces a more general case of multiple regression, which allows several explanatory variables to combine in explaining a single response variable. Okay, now they say that in chapter 4 in this text, they learned how to deal with adding a categorical variable into a scatter plot. And the way that they did that was with the categorical variable. Remember, categorical variable will take on different possible values. And for example, you might talk about a categorical variable being your favorite color. So the variable could be favorite color, and the values that it could take are maybe just these three values: red, blue, green. And by the way, these are called, when you're talking about categorical variables, and you have the different possible values, those values are called the different levels. So we have a level of red, a level of blue. That's the way that's what the values are called for a categorical variable. So here we would have three levels. And they said that in chapter 4, they dealt with a categorical variable that had just two levels, or two values. And so the way that they plotted that, so this would be if we had just one output variable, one input variable, specifically one input variable. But suppose we had another input variable which was categorical. So instead of just having x and y, we have another variable, but it happens to be categorical. So like this x was 8 and the y was 5. But what was the x2 value? Maybe it was blue. Okay? And another value up here, this one was like the x value was 6 maybe, and the y value was 10. But what was this was green maybe. Okay, so how do we show that blue and green? So what they said is, if you only have two values, you could just use two separate symbols. So if this one was blue, let's use a plus. And if this one was green, let's use, I don't know what they used, but let's use a circle. So we'd have pluses and circles here, and that would indicate the different values for the second variable. Even though we're showing this in just two dimensions, and so we only have one input dimension that we're showing it in, still we can show two input variables here by using this idea. So they said they used two different colors to plot the symbols, or actually in this, yeah, they did that before. And now they're going to do this again. So consider a simple case. The categorical variable, and they're calling it x2, takes just two values. And suppose we have, well, okay, so let's see what happens. So here's the data. So this is the x variable, x, and the y variable is actually either of these columns. Actually, this is not the clearest way to show this data. A better way would be like this. A better way would be like this. A better way would be like this. So, when x was 1, this means the first week of the year, or first 2 weeks of the year, actually, in this example. But anyway, when x was 1, when the time was 1, and it was 1998, the y value was this. when it was the first week of the year, but the year was 2000, it was this. When it was this, it was this, and so on. So, but you can see here that x2 is actually only taking on two possible values, 1998 or 2000. So we could, it's kind of a weird thing to do, but anyway, we could do it. We could say that we had a categorical variable, x2, and it could only take on two possible values. Now when we plot this data, so we have a lot of data here, or they express it slightly differently here, but anyway, we have a lot of data here.